Okay, here we go. I'm here with a good friend of mine, coach from my last kickboxing fight, an accomplished MMA fighter, owner of Bulldog MMA in Carlisle, the American Zombie, Mark Krumrine. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, thank God we finally have fights to look forward to.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm getting bored of watching Netflix all damn day.
Netflix or like you can only watch the same fights over and over and over again before you get tired of them.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've probably watched the highlight reel of this card. I don't know how many times already. But yeah, let's get it started. UFC 249. What fight are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, Gaethje Ferguson as like the obvious choice. I'm not a huge Ferguson fan, but obviously he's rattled off 12 wins in a row, but I'm not sold on the people that he beat and how close he came to losing to a couple of those people. Lando Venata almost knocked him out on like 7 days notice, and he's a 45er. Not saying, Ferguson's tough, obviously. Just if you look at, there's a lot less names in that set of 12 than some of the other guys at lightweight. Gaethje's had a murderer's row since he's come to the UFC, and even like I know Luis Palomino is not like a huge name that everybody knows, but that dude's tough.
Yeah.
Actually, Jay Haas was supposed to fight him at one point. So like we did some game planning for it. That dude is a savage. Like he is like old school, kind of a caveman, but he's a savage. And he fought him twice. And Gaethje's never had really an easy fight. And Gaethje, to his credit, he's winning a lot of fights, but he does take some damage. So that's what makes it an interesting fight. I think Gaethje's going to – I actually think Gaethje wins probably second round, Tony backing up. I watched a couple of Tony's like last couple of fights, and the Cowboy fight. I don't know if you like watched that one a whole lot, but
Yep.
backs up head high a lot, and
Yeah.
Gaethje's kind of known to just come in and throw that overhand. So, it's what makes it interesting. Obviously, if it was just paper, we wouldn't have fights, but
Yeah.
that's the one. That's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most.
And you're betting on Gaethje for this one.
I think obviously I don't know anything. I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
But Gaethje, I think second round by knockout. But I think there's zero part of the fight that's going to be a boring fight. I think both dudes are just incapable of having a boring fight.
Well, I mean, let's see. Tony Ferguson's last fight was Cerrone, which he won second round, but was eye swelled shut, I guess.
Yeah. And plus he kind of hit him after the bell. I don't think that had anything to do with the stoppage, but
yeah,
it wasn't a dominant. It wasn't like he went out there and knocked him out and TKO'd him or submitted him.
Yeah,
it was a doctor stoppage.
I'd say it was pretty. Ferguson was doing pretty well for the whole fight, but I mean, Cerrone kind of landed. I think Cerrone landed a punch after the bell, and then Ferguson kind of,
gave him one back.
Definitely passed the bell. Yeah. If I had to say, I mean, it could go either way for that fight. Honestly, I would say Ferguson only because he's had a lot longer time to prepare for it. And he's beaten some top guys, but his last fight was Cerrone, which was last year. Gaethje's last fight was Cerrone and Barboza last year, and he knocked them both out in the first round. So, I mean,
and Barboza's not a guy that you see get knocked out cold clean very often, and Gaethje just melted him with that. I think it was a lead left hook.
Yeah,
and I never saw that coming. I actually thought that Gaethje was going to lose that fight a lot. Like Barboza's a lot more technical striker.
Yeah,
and I mean he ate a lot of punches, but that's just how Gaethje is. So
he was getting his legs lit up too by him, which I mean it was the last couple seconds of the round. Really, I think that's what it was, and just called him with a hook. That's gonna be a good fight for sure. I would say it's going to be decision. or submission, Ferguson. If I had to guess, only because I think Gaethje will probably gas out if he doesn't knock him out first, you know. But then, yeah, I mean, shit. What's Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz? That's a co-main event. That one, I'm honestly looking forward to that one a lot. I'm a huge Dominic Cruz fan, but I mean, shit. Well, his last fight was, I have it down, 2016. That was the last time he fought, and he lost to Cody.
Right. And not only that, but like, and I think this kind of goes against Ferguson a little bit too. You know, Dominic Cruz is real famous for saying ring rust isn't real. And I think to an extent it isn't. But like Ferguson, I forget, what was it? I think it was April 9th or 8th was supposed to be the last card that got canceled. He still made weight. He still made 155 pounds for that just because he's kind of batshit insane. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got to wonder if doing that, because he's not a small 55er, if that's going to play into it. And then like Cruz today, I don't know if you watched the weigh-in. Cruz looked a little sunken in. He looked pretty rough at weigh-ins.
Yeah.
You know, you can't always tell by that, but you know, it's Cejudo is a hell of a fight to come off of 18 months or whatever it was. I guess 2016. That's, you know, 4 years almost.
Yeah.
You know, depending what month it was. That's a lot of that's a tough fight to come off of that, but it's Dominic Cruz. You know, you can never count him out. I think he's probably the best, you know, 35er of all time.
Yeah.
And
the only reason I'm a huge fan of Dominic Cruz. That's a huge factor, and I just think he's a lot bigger. The same way he beat Mighty Mouse, I think he'll do the same.
yeah, I mean, I think the one thing Cejudo brings different than Mighty Mouse though is like Mighty Mouse was pretty. I don't want to say, like, obviously he was in great shape, but he wasn't jacked. He wasn't a very big guy.
Yeah.
And Cejudo, like, even if you watch some of the I think Mighty Mouse even said it. He said Cejudo is just like he's deceptively strong.
Yeah.
So I mean it'll play out a little bit. I think you're going to see Cejudo have problems with that footwork, but he also, I think I think TJ kind of copied Dominic's footwork, and it didn't work out very well for him either. So
yeah, I mean that's
gonna be a fun fight to watch. I'm pretty, you know, really the whole card is good fights, but it's like those are two fights. It's almost impossible to just, you can't just go, oh yeah, this guy's gonna win.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they have favor for betting for Cejudo, obviously, against Dominic Cruz. The only reason I'm going to give it to him is just size, and I mean he's good, but yeah, I mean Cejudo's his last two fights, I think he knocked out Dillashaw and
Moraes.
Yeah, they knocked him out. So I mean that's pretty dominant. And I don't know about you. Have you ever go against college level wrestling?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I remember I wrestled a guy. He was a 155, 160 pounder I was training for a fight, and he was just getting into it. So we did kind of stand up jiu-jitsu, and I remember we tied up, and he slapped my head down so hard. I ended up headbutting the floor. I mean, he was way smaller, but the strength is crazy for wrestlers.
I had the opportunity when we were still in Rodwood Athletics. Charlie Brenneman came down, and you know I'm a 220-pound dude in camp. You know, when I fight at 85, I cut from roughly 215-ish. Charlie's not as big as me, and Charlie hit me with a snap down, and it was one of those things, like, for a second you didn't know where it was up, because it's not just this pulling your head down. They get a little space there, and they snap down.
Take your equilibrium out, you know.
Exactly. You know, you're not like rocked like you would be in a fight, but you have that moment where you're trying to figure out what's going on, and by then they're already taking your back or working a better position. So you can never discount, you know, wrestling, but at the same time, watch Dominic Cruz. He's got, a long list of guys. He has some pretty insane takedowns on Benavidez when he fought
Yeah.
him. Had some pretty good, obviously good takedowns on Faber. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think if Dominic can, if his body holds up the whole fight, he doesn't have any injuries. That's
That's true. That's true.
He's in any fight at 135. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I thinking about what you just said now. I would like Dominic Cruz to win, but I'm probably going to bet more Cejudo. Honestly, now I think about Dominic Cruz might blow a knee or something for knowing his luck.
That the ACL damage and MCL damage that poor guy's had,
Oh yeah.
and you can't help but think that it came from some of that footwork, because it's just a lot of footwork and a lot of angles. So
yeah, I tried when I was doing MMA more. I tried to base my stand up and movement more around with him, but I'm too damn big.
Yeah, there's a reason you don't see too many 85ers bouncing around like that, and if they do, they don't do it for 5 rounds. So
yeah, no, yeah. Okay, let's jump into the next one. This one, Francis Ngannou versus, man, I can't even say the guy's first name.
Jair Rosenstruck.
Yes,
is how I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, Rosenstruck is, I could say his last name. Yeah, that one. I mean, Ngannou. I mean, come on.
I think and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think honestly, whoever lands first in that fight is going to probably win, or you're going to see Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, version 2. 2 guys that are
scared.
Neither one wants to pull the trigger because they know the other one can shut the lights off like that. I've actually watched some of Ngannou's training for this. I think he's got hand speed over Rosenstruck, but I mean, look at how he just fought. Rosenstruck just fought Overeem. Overeem's probably one of the best strikers, in MMA, and he just pieced him up and he just beat him like he didn't want to be there. So,
well, Overeem honestly did that fight very, very smart. Took him down a lot, tired him out.
Yeah.
Overeem was winning the whole fight, in my opinion.
And not that, obviously half of his face was ripped in half, but a little bit. That was right at the end of the fight, if I'm not mistaken, where he got dropped.
Last 10 seconds.
That I've seen them let fights go for a lot, a lot more than what he did, but both dudes, I think they can shut the other one's lights out.
Oh yeah.
Easy. So it's almost just, it comes down to whoever lands first. So, that's one of those ones where, like, if you told me A or B was going to win, I wouldn't argue with you, because they're both savages. When you get to heavyweight, anybody that knows how to sit down on a punch and turn it over, there's the power that's in those punches can shut anybody's lights off. So that's a pick 'em fight, whoever you want to pick.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm really giving it to Ngannou is he's fought more tough guys, and he's beat them pretty decisively. Rosenstruck is, if he lands that punch again, I guess, but yeah, it's either going to be first round fight or boring decision.
Yeah, I don't think Ngannou, because he had those 2 fights in a row. It was Stipe and Derek Lewis.
Yep.
If he didn't really it's like he was trying to mix it up too much for what his style is, and he even said he was training a lot more wrestling and such. I don't think you're going to see Ngannou shoot for a takedown, but I think if there's one thing with Rosenstruck, it's he hasn't fought so many times that you can tell he's going to come out and do A, B, C, D. It wouldn't surprise me if he mixed something in there a little bit early and then went to the striking after he was worried about the takedown. But
True.
I don't want to get hit by either guy. So
I think
you know,
Ngannou is too strong, man. Look at what he did to Velasquez. I mean, he tossed
yeah,
him around. He tossed him around even when he tried to get taken down, or
yeah.
Velasquez tried to take him down.
It's funny when guys get beat by Ngannou. It's never like a TKO where they could have came back from it or they were still fighting it. Those guys are like corpses.
Yeah. And they're not even crazy good punches. You know what I mean? They just he catches you where it was okay, the Velasquez one, he caught him dead on the chin with a good hook as he's coming in. So that was good. And then was it Dos Santos? I think that was like a side pop just right behind the ear.
Yeah,
It wasn't as nasty as he can throw.
No, I mean, I think the hardest punch I've ever seen in all of MMA punch wise was against Overeem.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I thought that we might have saw a death at that point, but
yeah.
I mean, I feel like whoever wins the fight next in line to fight for a belt. I mean, depending on what happens with Stipe and Cormier, but I mean that's going to be. I don't see that fight going very long, but I didn't see the Derek Lewis fight going very long either.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that one was what they were both. Derek Lewis was injured; his back was messed up, and Francis Ngannou was coming off that loss, and he was hurt too. I heard.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Both guys didn't look like themselves, so that might just be the odd fight, but.
True.
Who knows? Those guys, when you're swinging that hard, and it just takes one blip.
Yeah.
And there's a reason guys don't string together 12 wins at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Because you would have to be perfect all the time, and it's hard.
And I mean, he's got the heaviest hands. Ngannou does for sure.
Yeah.
For anybody that hasn't seen Ngannou versus Overeem, go look that up because that is nasty.
For two reasons. One, he almost ripped Overeem's head off. And two, there wasn't a huge windup on that. Like, it wasn't like, like I like to say, like Hendo versus Bisping, when he threw that H-bomb, you could see he ran, and like that was a running punch.
Yeah.
And when Ngannou hit Overeem, it was a short uppercut. I mean, they were throwing, obviously, but that short uppercut, and it looked like boom. It just looked like he was going to take Overeem's head off. It's just crazy the amount of power that dude has.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, geez, look at Rosenstruck the last 10 seconds. Sorry, Overeem, but ripped Overeem's lip straight off, man. I mean, it was that.
That was, there's two things with that. One, it ripped it like it was through. It wasn't just a cut; it went through.
Yeah, the whole up to here.
6 weeks later, I don't know who his surgeon was, but 6 weeks later, you couldn't tell he was ever cut. That was like the best fix I've ever seen in my life for a bad cut.
Well, he's got that dark skin too. It helps, blend in a little more. The tan.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I got busted open in my my one Thai fight, and I was busted open like here to here.
Yeah.
And for like 2 months, 3 months after that, it looked like it happened an hour ago. I mean, it looked terrible, pink and just raised up. Luckily, it went away a little bit. But whenever I, all my fights, it doesn't take much anymore. I get hit there, and it just opens up a little bit. But
what I mean, geez, you want to talk about brain damage? Overeem. Oh my God, how many times can you get knocked out and still come back and be? I mean, he wins. He comes back
top of the. I mean, he's probably top 7 or 8 at heavyweight.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just remember since he's been in the UFC, like the Bigfoot knockout, Stipe, scrambled his eggs a little bit over Ngannou.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to realize he fought, and now Rosenstruck. But then you also have to realize he fought probably, I think it was like 30 fights in Pride at light heavyweight.
Yep.
Chuck Liddell almost took his head off at 205. So You know, that dude's been taking a beating for a long time. And that doesn't even count all the fights for Dream, K1.
Kickboxing,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
how many times he got knocked out there too?
Yep.
My God. And he still seems somewhat with it too, which is surprising.
And one thing that you see a lot of those guys, like I'll use Chuck Liddell as an example. When he started to go downhill, he went downhill fast. I think a big part of that was he didn't adjust his style whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, he was always that guy, eat one to give one.
Mm-hmm.
And when the chin wasn't there, he just kept being the guy to try to eat one to give one.
Yep.
But you look at Overeem like versus Bigfoot, and now Overeem in his last couple of fights, he's definitely fighting a lot smarter because I think he knows he doesn't, you know, he can't take quite the punches.
Oh yeah.
And the sport's evolving, man. Like you look at who the top was when you got into it, and you know you're way younger than me. The sport's just evolving so crazy. Like I always say, like, you know, people always go, "Oh, Babe Ruth was one of the greatest of all time." People don't realize if Babe Ruth played baseball today, he wouldn't be AAA. You know, I mean, you wouldn't know who he was. So, like, I think MMA is a sport in general that has taken that 50 or 60 year span that baseball had, and they mushed it into the last 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Because guys who were champ 10 years ago in their prime wouldn't be top 10, you know, more than likely. Except for a couple, you know, a couple guys are still there, but
steroids too. That makes a huge difference.
yeah. When you look like Mark Coleman used to when you would walk to the cage, you probably fail a piss test just by warming up with that dude.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're probably getting steroids from rolling with him. Yeah, I mean, back to Overeem. My God, what about him when he fought Brock? Ubereem, man, that guy was muscles.
And even the Brock fight was actually after he just came back from if I'm not mistaken, he just pissed hot right before that. So you know he was toning down on that.
Mm-hmm.
The most Overeem was when he fought Todd Duffy for Dream.
Yeah,
that dude looked like a cartoon character.
Yeah.
And you know, props to Duffy for taking that fight, but you know, it ended up with Duffy strewn out across the ring ropes because Overeem just slept him. But and he used to be like a lanky 205er. Like it's crazy to see how big he is now.
Oh yeah, skinny. He was skinny. He looked like Jones, kind of. Maybe not that skinny, but still.
Yeah.
You know. But shit. Okay, now we got Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar, and Jeremy Stephens was 4.5 or 5 pounds overweight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in you always want to be professional. You always want to, you know, you always want to make the weight that you sign up for. And I'm not making any excuses for anybody that ever misses weight. But I feel like this is one of those very few times in life. You know, I'm not saying that he should have missed by 4 pounds, but you got to give everybody on this card. You got to give them a little bit of leeway because you know that a lot of the gyms aren't open.
Yeah.
And you know these guys, you know, beyond the fights we've already talked about, a lot of these guys aren't making tons of money. So it's not a matter of being McGregor where you can sit out for 2 years until this all blows over so you can get a good solid camp, or you own a gym that's just as nice as any other gym you could ever go to.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not making any excuses for Stephens whatsoever, but you know, if there's ever a time that you kind of got to take it a little easy on him, you know, middle of a pandemic and, you know, taking a fight on however short notice. And
what weight class is that?
Should be 45.
45.
If I'm not mistaken. But the other thing with Stephens is, I don't know if you've ever seen any videos of him outside of camp. Dude walks around like 185 pounds and he's a little chubby, you know. Now, not that I can call anybody chubby, but you know, Stephens he's not a small guy. He cuts a lot of weight, and I think it was probably just too much for him. That being said, Kattar is on he's definitely the more technical of the two, and he's got more ways to win. But Jeremy Stephens is one of those weirdos that at 145 pounds has that same ability that Ngannou has, where it just takes one punch that dude throws with, you know, such ill intent on every punch that he throws that it's not going to take much for him to knock you out. I mean, he's got some pretty crazy knockouts against some pretty good guys. So, it's going to be a good fight. If Cater goes in and wrestles him, I think it'd be a long night for somebody who's probably already depleted just trying to make weight.
Yeah, who do you give an advantage to? The person Stevens who's overweight, or Cater who made weight?
I guess it depends on how hard he tried to make it. It's one thing if you wake up, you're 2 hours from the fight and you're not going to cut 4 pounds in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Did he try to cut that? Did he try to cut weight and that's as close as he could get? Or did he just say,
fuck it,
man, I'm not going to make it. Find me. I'm just going to I won't be tired tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's a huge, question mark. How bad did he look? And I actually didn't see him. I think he weighed in last. So I didn't actually see him, pictures of him. So, if he's 4 pounds over and all sunken in and looking like skin stretched over a skeleton,
yeah,
or did he look hydrated at 4 pounds over and he just said to hell with it, he's not doing it?
He looked skinny. I mean, he looked light, no doubt. But I'd have to look again. But I would think if you're 5 pounds over, that's just the point where you're like, fuck it. If you were 2-3 pounds, then maybe it seems like he would have tried. But the 5 pound difference, I think you're just like, fuck it. And then come fight time, my God, you're gonna add at least another 5 or 8 pounds probably.
Yeah. Well, easy. Now, obviously they're not as big as me, but when I weigh 85, I fight it. I usually weigh myself like right before I leave for the venue.
Mm-hmm.
My last 3 fights at 85, I've been 203 on the dot.
Oh shit!
Leaving the venue, leaving the hotel to go to the venue. So, as far as that goes, like, what's he gonna weigh? He's a big boy anyhow. So it depends on how much he rehydrates and how much he eats. But I don't think Florida has that weird rule like PA does, where like if you're over the night before, they make you weigh in again the next morning, and you have to be under a certain amount or something like that. So that's a toss up. It's either going to be Stevens obviously has tons of experience over Cater, but I think Cater is a little bit more well rounded. So
well, it was let me see, I have it here. Cater's last fight, he fought Zabit, which he lost. Which, I mean, Zabit is damn good.
So did Jeremy Stevens, though.
Yeah, and then he knocked out Ricardo Lamas. Was his last victory. Jeremy Stevens' last win was 2018 against Josh Emmett.
Yeah, but I mean, not making any excuses for it, but look at his next 2 fights. It was Zabit and Aldo. So
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. And even the Aldo fight, he was doing pretty well in the Aldo fight, and then he just got hit with a body shot. And you know how getting hit with a body shot is. Sometimes you can take the worst body shot in the world and you're fine. And then sometimes you get clipped with one and you weren't ready for it, and instantly your body hits that reset button. So
I can recover better getting hit in the face real hard than I can getting hit with a body shot. I mean, man, I've been dropped with a few of them. I remember Zach laid a body kick right in my gut there before.
I've only ever had one body shot ever hurt me, and it was my first day at Blackman's when I went up there, and Jay drugged me up there on sparring day. Was my first day ever there, and they threw me in with everybody: Daryl, Jeff Smith, Nate Van Tassel, all that. I remember Nate's a really good boxer.
Oh,
Nate cracked a shot right in the middle of my sternum, and it was like one of those things you've sparred before, so like you get hit and you're like, ooh, that stings, and you have that couple seconds where you're waiting for the sting to go away and it won't go away. Mm-hmm. And then like I took a breath and I was like, I thought, man, I broke something. I remember laying down and my lower rib was dislocated and it was sticking up like TP in the skin, maybe like it was poking on the skin. And Nate Van Tassel, like he's, the greatest doctor ever, walks over to me. I'm laying on my back. He looks at me, puts his toe right on my sternum, pushes on it. It popped back in, but that was like one of the worst pains I've ever had.
Oh,
I've had like my eye sockets broken,
oh
huge
man.
cuts. That shot to the sternum that he hit me with. That was terrible.
Nate should have sent you a bill for that.
He's probably listening, and he's probably going to try.
Oh yeah, jeez. Oh man. Okay. If I had to pick one for that, I'd pick Calvin Guitar.
I'll pick Stevens just because he's probably one of my top 5 favorite fighters. So, it's picking with my heart, not so much my brain. But maybe he can. Anytime he's conscious, he can still knock somebody out. So
absolutely.
So, that's going to be a good fight too.
That honestly, out of all the fights, other than maybe the girls fighting, that one I'm least interested in. But I mean, it's still going to be. I think it'll be a stoppage. I think one of them will stop, knockout or submission.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, Cater doesn't have a whole lot of he's not a huge name yet, but you go back and look at his fights, he doesn't fight boring, and Stevens never fights boring. So it's probably going to be that one that everybody's overlooking, but it's going to be a bloodbath. But
I mean, when he knocked out Lamas, that was pretty bad.
That was one of the it's one thing when you see guys get hit and they hit the ground, they're kind of sitting up, they're a little out of it. Lamas was in another. He left the shadow realm. He was out.
Oh yeah, is that the one when he got hit and then kind of just dropped and his knees went back? I'm trying to think. I remember there's a highlight of someone on this.
I can't remember if that was him or was that Josh. Maybe Josh Emmett did that.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
That might have been it. Okay, next one. This one, man. This is Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Castro. Now you know what? I take it back. This is the one I'm least interested in.
I was just gonna say that.
Man, Greg Hardy, he was NFL player, got caught for beating his wife or beating his girl or something like that.
Yeah,
they've
never proven. She never showed up to court. But,
oh, okay, true. Well, then I take that back. I take that back.
Yeah, you don't want to piss him off.
I think they've fed him a lot of easy opponents other than his last person, which was a fill-in fight that he did.
Yeah, was that Olnick?
Yeah, I think
a Russian guy. I think.
Yeah, Volkov or something.
Volkov. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean that was a good fight, but yeah.
I mean, for somebody that's what is he like 5 fights into his career at this point?
Yeah,
that's a huge test. So, can't take that away from him. I don't like him as a person. Not a huge fan of people who don't think anything's their fault. Like he got hit with that DQ for using the puffer.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I could.
Yeah.
I don't know what sport you've ever been in, combat sports. That's always a no-go. So I'm not a huge fan of him.
What they ruled that what was it? DQ? Did he get?
Yeah, pretty sure it was a DQ.
Yeah. I mean, it's cheap, so shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple fights where if I had a little bit more oxygen going into the next round, it wouldn't have hurt me at all. So. Oh
my God, yeah. But the guy he's fighting I think he's an up and comer. He's 6-0. He fought some up and comer guy in UFC as well. He knocked him out. So if just based off who I would like to see, I think everybody would like to see Hardy lose in a good way.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that makes people dislike Hardy more is the UFC has they have this for whatever reason have this want to push him to the front. Yeah. And it's nobody's asking for it, but they just keep I think trying to shove him down your throat. So
he's money, man. Look, we're talking. What was it? Bad publicity is still good publicity.
Yeah, and there's such thing as bad publicity, but I mean it's just to a much lesser extent, obviously. But he's at that same spot like Connor's at, because Connor could fight Teddy Bear, and people are going to watch. Half of them are watching because they want to see him win, and half of them are going to watch because they want to see him get his ass kicked. So
Yeah.
Hardy is walking that line now as well. So
I would say McGregor he ran his mouth, and in the beginning it was like that, but the fact that he ran his mouth and backed up what he did made a lot more people like him, I think.
Yeah, so I have this thing, not to get off subject, but I have this thing because I have any like casual MMA fan, that's one of the guys that everybody knows. And it's funny because you'll see him and they'll be like, "Oh, well, what do you think of Connor?" Connor the person, nothing but one of them. You can't not respect him. To be able to go and the guys that he was calling his shots on, they weren't nobodies.
Oh, yeah.
Dustin Poirier, everybody. Even taking that fight with Mendez on was like 2 weeks notice.
Mhm.
Mendez is no joke, and so like Connor the person, I don't think there's any way you can down talk him. Connor the character, a lot of people don't realize if he just fought the way he fought and didn't run his mouth, he would probably be like Calvin Kattar, where everybody's like, "Oh, I know that guy," but they don't know nothing about him. You got to be loud. It's terrible because it shouldn't be that way. It should just be based on skill.
Yeah.
And I think his fight with Khabib, I think that was like, you can look at his body and tell that wasn't the best Connor you've ever seen. That was like post Coke bender Connor. But I think it's just like anything. Anybody that's ever done the sport, to be able to even go out and say, "I'm going to win," and to know that you're going to win, that's one thing. To say you're going to do it in the first round and then do it in the first round against one of the top 10 guys in the world, you can't hate on that guy. Like, and let me tell you something. If I had a family, I had a kid, I had a wife, had a family to take care of, and I came from nothing, I don't care what you told me to do. If you told me to smack talk 100 people, if I knew it made sure my kid never had to worry for money, I'd do it all day and tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, UFC, MMA as a whole. I mean, my God, even amateur, if you can run your mouth and get more people invested to pay money to come see it, you're making money. And that's, I mean, it's no longer just fighting. It's now WWE style with MMA,
Yep.
And that's how you make money and get your name out there for sure.
And I mean, you've trained with me. I always say this at the end of all of our training sessions. I think we're beyond the time of just fighters, and it's becoming an athlete thing. Back in the day, I hate to sound old, but like Pride Days, stuff like that, all those dudes were fighters. They break a bone. I remember watching Tim Sylvia get his arm broken in an arm bar and then yell at the ref for stopping it. And it was like visually, you could visibly see that it snapped. That's not happening, with guys these days. They're athletes, and nothing against them. It sounds like I got sour grapes because I'm not a very good athlete, but those guys don't have I don't think they have the toughness that the other guys do. I mean, some of them still do, but I think we're getting away from the era of fighters and more to an era of athletes and entertainment.
It's business, man. It's a business. Yeah. It's all about the money. It's all about the money for sure.
Unfortunately.
But okay, so prelims. Top prelim. I'm looking forward to this one. Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cerrone. Man, I got to give it to Pettis in that one.
Unfortunately, and let me tell you first how much it pains me to say this, because I am the biggest Cowboy fan on earth. But I wonder if Cowboy fights anymore. I think Donald Cerrone's fighting, not Cowboy. And I think, unfortunately, the days of his big thing is always that gunslinger. He'll go to the center and chuck with you. and he was technical about it, and he was good. And I'm not saying he's not good anymore at all, but he's just always kind of been that guy that when he gets in those highlight fights, that for whatever reason he comes up a little short. And it's not taking anything away from him. He's still probably one of the best martial artists ever.
He'll be a Hall of Famer for sure.
And, like we were just saying about fighters and athletes, he's a fighter. And, anybody that – I think he got 6 fights in a 12-month span there.
Yeah.
Like, you got to respect that, because it's not 6 fights on a regional circuit where you might be fighting debut guys. It's 6 fights against the top 10 in the world. And, Cowboy can win any fight. He's just like any, he's very well-rounded. I think a lot of people forget he's got good submissions to go with his striking.
Oh, yeah.
But, that slow start that he has on every fight, that always comes back to bite him in the ass. And, Pettis is a pretty quick starter. Whether he's getting beat up or not, he comes forward. So, I hate to say this, but I do think Pettis is going to win this one again.
And this is at 170, I believe, too.
Yeah.
And Pettis, my God, when he knocked out Thompson.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
I like Thompson. So, like, it was like, you're like, oh, that's a nice knockout. Oh, man, it was 14.
Yeah.
It was Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, Wonder Boy, he's a good – he seems like a good dude too,
Yeah.
He lost, got up, and was like, well, hey, shit happens.
Shit happens.
But –
yeah, I think that one's going to be – I mean, I don't think it's going to be, super one-sided. It's not going to be 40 seconds like Connor was, but I think Pettis puts it on him early, and he doesn't get a chance to get started. And
well, this is the second Pettis Cerrone fight, and
right.
The first one Pettis won. I forget how he won. It was a knockout, or it was some sort of stoppage. Either he got hurt or something.
Yeah, it sticks in my head as a body shot, but I could be, or a body kick.
That's what it was. Body shot and it kicked him right in the gut and dropped him.
But if there's one thing that Cerrone seems like he's been doing, like that he does better with, is being able to absorb that at 70 more than 155. And I'm pretty sure their first fight was at 55. So
yeah,
either way, both of those dudes they're obviously some of the best fighters that 55, 70 that there is even now, and they've been doing it for forever. So, I would love to see Cerrone go out and put it on him, but unfortunately, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think Pettis is going to win that.
Yeah, Cerrone doesn't seem like he has that push like he used to. He gets caught or something, he's just kind of like, okay. And then just, hey, I got my money. I'm here. I
don't know if it's quite that, but it's hard to tell so much when you watch like his fights back to back to back, like in chronological order. But, and I tell everybody this: go watch him fight Jamie Varner, and tell me the last time he's fought like that against anybody. Yeah. That Cowboy is a savage. Like, that dude win, die or win. That's how he is in those fights.
Well,
and
yeah, I really liked when all the drama going on with Jackson Winklejohn Jim, and then they dropped Cerrone for that new guy, the up and comer, and then I forget what his name is, but when he fought him and beat him, I mean, that was like, hey,
it was almost like dropping him pissed him off, and he had something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's got to be over 50 fights at this point, and he's took some damage. I'd like to see him win, but I think Pettis is going to win that fight. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm so wrong on that it's not even funny. But
yeah, I think that'll be a 3-round either decision or 3rd round stoppage. Could go either way. But okay. Now this one's a hard one to say again. Alexei Olenek versus Verdum.
You got 2 heavyweights, and both of them have good submissions. Verdum, I think he's on. This is after his 2-year ban.
Yeah, he fought.
It's got to be close to that.
He fought in 2018 against Volkov.
Right. I think when it comes to groundwork, Verdun probably has a pretty solid, a pretty solid advantage there. Stand up, I honestly don't think either of them are the greatest strikers there are. But if I got to give any kind of positive to either of them, we'll go with Verdun because he did sprint across the cage and do a flying side kick against Travis Brown. So he'll always get bonus points for me on that one.
Yeah, true. Well, I guess they both beat Travis Brown because I think Olenek caught him with it was a submission, might have been rear naked choke for Travis Brown. He got him in for that one. I'm going to say Olenek with Ezekiel choke against Verdun.
If he hits that, Verdun should turn in his black belt.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna knock him down. We're gonna knock him down to a purple for that.
True. I mean, that one. I think that's going to be one of the more boring fights. But I mean, boring as far as it's going to be more submission, jiu-jitsu oriented.
That's going to be a chess match where a lot of these are going to be checkers.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, that could go either way. And then you got the girl fight finally, Esparza versus Watterson. I'm betting on Watterson, man.
I think I'm a huge Karate Hottie fan. She's like take out the fact that she's like one of the nicest people that there is. She showed a marked improvement over her entire career. It's like she never regresses. Mm-hmm. And I think that like Esparza, not saying she's a terrible fighter whatsoever, but I think when people start to get the advantage on her, she crumbles a little bit. And
you know what she's going to do. You know what she's going to do.
Yeah, she's going to come out and she's going to plod forward, try to wrap you up and wrestle you. And Watterson, while I don't think Watterson's quite the striker like Joanna was, I think that she picks her apart for 3 rounds and wins a decision. And I don't think it's very close.
Yeah, I see this going the same way when Esparza lost her title to Joanna. I would think it's going to go the same way.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think we both pretty much agree on the way we think that one's going to go anyhow.
Yeah. And then you got Uriah Hall versus Ronaldo. Geez, how do you say his last name?
Jacare,
yeah.
Yeah. Man, Uriah Hall's so inconsistent. He's either the guy that was on The Ultimate Fighter wheel kicking somebody into an almost death, or he's, hugging a guy in the middle of the fight because they had a good scramble. So,
yeah.
Jacare, he's getting up there. I mean, he's got a lot of miles on him. But, if there's one thing, he's been pretty consistent with, unless he's going against top tier guys like when he fought Romero, and Romero scrambled his brains a little bit in the beginning of the fight. But beyond that, he's got some wins over some really, really, really good guys. I don't think Uriah Hall. I don't think it's even close. I think Jacare pretty much just walks through him.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong.
I'm still on the Uriah Hall, train. As far as when he, like you said, Ultimate Fighter, he was supposed to be the new Anderson Silva.
Right.
For back then. It depends on the training camp, really. And man, it could go either way for that one too. But
I mean, Uriah Hall's one of those guys when you hear like some of these top tier guys that fight. I'm pretty sure it was what is his name? I can see his face. He's actually in Bellator now. It's killing me that I don't remember his name. Musasi.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure he fought Musasi and caught him with like a spinning back kick when Musasi was shooting, and I'm pretty sure he TKO'd Musasi. And Musasi said that's a fluke. It'll never happen again. And Uriah said, no, I'm better, blah, blah, blah. They fought again. and Musasi mopped the floor with him. So it's like
Yeah,
you got these two guys. Like it's just who shows up. And
exactly.
Jacare has always been. I mean, he goes up and down a little bit, but it's not nearly as drastic. So yeah, I'm gonna go Jacare on that.
Why hasn't he been fighting that much?
I
Has he?
believe he lost his last fight against a no-name guy on short notice, and they were saying if he won that fight, he was going to get a title. And I think he had surgery. I could be wrong. It
Okay.
sticks in my head that he might have had like knee surgery or something. And I mean, if he loses this fight, I see him retiring because he's going to be so far out of a title shot that he'll never get back
Yeah.
before before he needs to retire. So
I mean, I don't ever foresee him being top 5 ever at this point now.
yeah,
Because
not with the murderers row you got up there.
yeah, 185 is stacked, man. Romero is, in my opinion, the gatekeeper of the top 3, 4.
Yeah, and to say that Yoel Romero is a gatekeeper is insane.
Yeah, I know. But that's my point. No one's going to get past him unless if you can beat him, you're championship potential.
Yeah, and you look at the guys who barely beat him. You're talking. It's not like top 2 guys are here and then Yoel and then everybody else. It's top 2 guys, Yoel, and I think there's a gap.
Yeah, exactly. But man, Uriah Hall has the potential. Depending on it's a lot. I think a lot with him is the mindset.
He's that guy who I bet like I've never seen him train, but like you remember like there's always that guy in the gym where he's a savage in the gym, and then when the lights are on, he just becomes that guy where it's like either he's going to be a savage or he's going to look like he's never fought before. I say that relatively, but and that's that's one of the anybody can do bag work, but it's doing it when the lights are on. So, good for him if he can do it. It's a solid name to have on the resume, but I don't see him beating him.
So I mean, shit, we got. I think what the only ones we really agreed on is Ngannou. Ngannou, the Hardy fight, Pettis.
Yeah.
Watterson. That's about it.
Yeah.
You are getting the fight, right?
Yeah. Is Spawn and Alvey still fighting? Do you know?
I don't remember hearing that one. I don't remember hearing those names.
I'm a huge Smiling Sam Alvey fan. So if he is fighting, huge fan of his, and I hope he does win if they are fighting. So Alvey's a guy that trains out at Dan Henderson's camp. So I'm a huge Hendo fan.
Yeah, Sam Alvey.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually the first fight. That's
first
on
fight of the night.
That's I guess it's still on ESPN.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spawn, if I'm not mistaken, he fought on 2 cards that Daryl headlined for CFFC.
Oh yeah.
He's a super nice guy. Super nice guy, but that doesn't always win fights.
Yeah. Speaking of, is he still in UFC or is he?
Listen, I don't know. That's not I don't get into any of that.
Fair enough.
I show up to the gym, and if he's there, we train, and we got this BS going on now. That's
geez, speaking of, how's the coronavirus affected you? How's it been?
The gym's obviously closed. I don't make a lot of people real happy. I'm very polarizing on the subject. I understand that a lot of people, it is a real thing, and people did get sick and people did die. But I feel like when we didn't know what was going to happen, that 2-week span where we realized we don't know if it's going to be, 10% death rate or what, that was the right thing. We should have shut down for those 2 weeks, see where we're at.
Yeah.
And obviously you got some hot spots like New York City, New Jersey,
Philly.
Well, Philly's cousin, I hate to say it, it's basically because of New Jersey. If you look at the main hotspot, it's a big circle between those, like that's, the areas. California was up there for a while, but I feel like, you know, you can't do this forever. And we're already at a point where, I know at least 6 people that had small businesses and they have nothing to go back to now. It's not like temporary. A lot of and I'll be the first to admit, I'm a Tom Wolf fan. Tom Wolf, like even today, we're going to make it so nobody gets, evicted until July or whatever.
Yeah.
That's awesome that they're doing that, but it's a forbearance. It's not a forgiveness. So the 3 months or 4 months of mortgage are all due in July.
Yep.
And the banks aren't going to go, oh, that sucks, man. Just pay me when you can. You're going to see a lot of people really in trouble even after we open up. I've been very lucky. I have an amazing team. They offer, they offered to keep paying, and some of them did keep paying, to keep it together, which has been a huge help. But, every month rent's due, insurance is due. Anybody that's got a gym knows that stuff's due, whether there's a pandemic or not. I'm very fortunate. I paid cash for a lot of the equipment at the gym, so I don't have that monthly payment. But just between rent and insurance and stuff like that, the rainy day fund is quickly dwindling.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not saying every person should go back out. If you're immunocompromised, if you're old, if you have, like, if this poses a serious threat to you, by all means, I think you should stay home until you are comfortable going out. But I also don't think that, people that are healthy, I'm not saying that every person in my gym is a UFC level physique and conditioning, but by and large, guys that go to the gym all the time, they're healthier. Yeah. And, I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying that we should not clean things. I'm not saying that we should, just act like nothing ever happened. But I feel like, there's guys at my gym that before any of this happened, they literally would start training semi-damp hair because they showered when they got to the gym, and they were the first ones off the mat to shower when they left. You've been in gyms. Yeah. The stuff we use to clean the mats is stronger than a lot of the stuff that they're saying is, gonna help out. And I feel like if you're doing due diligence with keeping things clean, disinfecting, taking the guys' temperatures and stuff like that. I hate to say it like this because it sounds so Facebook ridden, but there's no way you're going to tell me that my 10 guys, me and 10 guys at the gym in a place that I clean and they clean. And, obviously there's some things we should do, like take temperatures, that kind of thing. There's no way you're going to tell me that's more deadly or more dangerous than 700 people at Walmart touching the same thing, walk in the same place. I don't care. 6 foot sounds awesome. Like social distancing sounds awesome. If I got to go grocery shopping, I'm going to tell you, it never happens. The only time it happens is nobody's in the aisle. If anybody's in the aisle, they're always up on you anyhow. So, if I'm going to, I feel like the thing was always flatten the curve because we need to stretch it out, right? Yeah, we don't want everybody to get sick at once.
Yeah.
Got to stretch it out. It was never to eradicate it.
Exactly.
And
it was to help the hospitals out. It was what it really. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Honestly, I just feel like we've done what we were supposed to do, and it's becoming a political thing. I'm not a political guy. And I'm very much not a person that says this side's always right, this side's always right. If I give my opinion on anything, it's based on the policy itself, not because Jim Smith brought it up or, the other side brought it up. So, I'm not a political person. I find that it's a bit ridiculous that anytime there's bad news, it's taken as gospel. And anytime somebody says, hey, I don't think this was as bad as it was, you get attacked, you get, people go crazy. Yeah. I think that there comes a time where, you got to think of it like, like Civil War.
both world wars, we never had a complete shuttering of everything, and those were much harder on think of all the people who died in World War II,
Yeah.
and they weren't 79 years old. They were
Young,
18 to 25,
young. Yeah.
and it was never an issue. Just keep going, keep doing what you can do. And I'm not saying I have all the answers whatsoever, but I feel like, not to sound hokey and patriotic, America, but, you know, this country's always been about being able to do, to have your freedoms and do what you want to do. I'm not telling you that I want 400 people at the gym. I'm not saying that everybody should open with no, mitigation whatsoever, but I think we're all adults, and those who are going to take it serious, if you gave any of the, I think they said it's like 50 million small businesses are going to not be there when this is over.
Yeah.
If you would have asked any of those 50 million people, hey, you can keep your business, but you have to do A, B, C, I guarantee you they would do it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
when this thing first started, I was totally on board with how, I mean, it was a new virus. No one knew shit about it. I mean, it spread super fast. It is deadly. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think the first month was good. Quarantine, everyone stays at home. Only thing open is, the necessities for things that you really need. After that, man, I think it's gotten a little bit more political, like you said. The death rate and everything here in Pennsylvania is not as high as they thought it was going to be. The hospitals, it was supposed to flatten the curve, is what it was, and it's not overrun like they projected it because of it. So,
I mean, I think a great deal of that is because, some of that is because we shut down, we did what we were supposed to do. And if you look, nobody bitched and moaned that first month. Hey, we got to do this to help. We'll do it. Right.
yeah, exactly.
But I think you're slowly starting to see, and like, I don't ever want to hear it come to this, but you're starting to see more and more civil unrest. And, the big famous thing was that the barber in Texas, or the salon owner in Texas got jailed and a $7,000 fine. And, you get a few people saying, oh, well, she's being selfish, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I have a very good friend who's a barber. If there's anybody that's germ free or as close to you can be while you're doing your job, it's them. They, just to get their license before any of this happened, they have certain
exactly.
guidelines and stuff like that. So it's frustrating because I'm very lucky. All of my guys pretty much they're diehard. They're ride or die. But there's going to be a lot of gyms that maybe, if they get through it, they had 70 people, on the books before. You're going to see a lot of guys that were very talented, and as much as anybody, when you take breaks, it's always harder to get back into it.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm getting up there in miles myself when I have a fight. It used to be I would have the fight and go back to the gym on Monday. Now I take like a solid week, and it's not hard for that week to be like, you know what? I earned 2 weeks, I earned 3 weeks. We're on 3 months
cake
now. Yeah. And you eat like garbage. Now we're sitting here on 3 months. I text all my guys almost every day. But there's going to be gyms that can't do that. And you're going to have guys that don't come back to it. And it's really sad to me that, I don't have all the answers, but it's sad to me if this becomes political chess and we lost those people for that,
Well, exactly. In the beginning, it was more health related. Yeah. You want to help the greater whole for everybody. You don't want a lot of people to die, but now it's starting to dip into you're fucking the economy really, really bad.
Oh, it's a lot worse than people realize.
Yeah, exactly. No one's going to be able to pay for food. And I mean, the basic necessities, they're going to start losing jobs, businesses. A lot of that is now starting to be a huge factor. And that's where I'm like, man, okay, we did the month. We found it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. I mean, great, it's still bad. I don't want to take away from it, but it's
Right.
mainly
Like,
retirement homes and the older people like that. I mean, that's the main
yeah, that's the
factor.
thing that gets me. Like, obviously, there's always going to be outliers, but Pennsylvania, I just saw today they had like a listing, and I didn't fact check it, but it was from the House of Representatives that were pushing this thing, and I think they said the average age of the death in Pennsylvania is 79 years old.
Yeah,
Now, do I want any 79-year-old person to just lay down on the train tracks for us? No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. Mitigate them, keep them,
exactly.
quarantine them, do what you got to do for them. If you have any other major things, heart disease, diabetes, anything like that, by all means. I don't think you should be held accountable like you're going to lose you're going to get fired from your job or something like that. Stay in until you feel comfortable. But because one person's weak, you don't hold everybody else back. And we're not even just talking like, oh, I want to be able to go to the movies.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things that are never coming back, and people don't realize it. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think it was literally a political chess. And again, I don't like to wear the tinfoil hat thing, but it's awful crazy. We've always Pennsylvania's been 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we get an update on how long it's going to last. How long the stay-at-home order is, and you know, June 2nd is our primary, and all of a sudden we busted out a month-long one for June 4th.
June
And I
4th.
think if you dive into that a little bit, if we would have done another 2 week one and then added the 2 weeks, that would have made everybody not eligible to register for mail-in voting. So you hit it with the month-long one right now. Everybody registers, and that opens that up. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just the guy wearing the tinfoil hat. But when you sit around, as much as any of us, and like I was at my gym. I would get off work. I would go to my gym until I was the first one there, usually last one to leave, and that was my life, going there every day. And now, I'm not gonna lie, the first week was pretty awesome. Healing some stuff that was nagging and stuff like that. But you can only sit in a room and play so much Xbox and PS4 before you start losing it. And I'm very lucky that my regular day job is considered essential.
Yeah,
So, I'm lucky for that, and that's keeping me afloat some. But at the same time, not everybody has that benefit. And a lot of self-employed people, photographers. I have a very good friend's a photographer. Explain to me how standing 10 feet away from somebody with a camera is any different than packing 7 people into a self-checkout line at Lowe's.
exactly. I mean, geez, look at the grocery stores. I mean, I know people that go there just to get out of their house. They're not going there because they need it. They're going there just for the hell of it.
I'm not even a grocery store. I work at an auto parts place, and on the weekends we'll have somebody come in there and walk around for 2 hours. Anything I can help you with? No, just killing time. They don't
Yeah.
want to be. Nobody wants to be stuck at home anymore.
Yeah. I'd like to go. I used to go hiking a lot, but now it's like, man, those places are getting crowded. That I'd take the boys and the kids and everything, and it's too much. It's too much now. Which
You're putting the entire population that has nothing to do, and you're
Exactly.
going, oh, you can do A. Everybody's going to do that because it's better than sitting at home.
Exactly. Yeah, my unsolicited advice for this is honestly, I think it should at this point be businesses, depending on what they are. I don't think bars, I don't think restaurants, because the whole sit down dining. I think it's perfectly fine to get your food, grab it, go, tip your people. I get it, waiters and servers, it's going to suck, but for the time being, I think it is fine. But now that it's a month, I think we should start slowly letting them back. I think we should slowly start letting them back and help the economy. Depending on certain things. I mean, gyms and for doing MMA and fighting and all that training. I mean, you can't train and do it and be 6 feet apart. You can't. But that it should be your fucking right whether you want to go and risk it
Yeah.
at this point.
I'm with you on a lot of that, but I'm also, and maybe this is why, like, women, they always say women live longer than guys because we have that natural thing built into, or most of us do anyhow. We have that natural, I'm fine, I'll be okay. But, do I agree that like some mitigation is needed? Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
But do I think it's like one of those things, like if you break your arm, do you just not use it the rest of your life because you never want it to hurt again? Eventually, you gotta
Yeah.
see if it works.
I mean,
So like,
this is a virus. You need to build an immunity to it in some sort of way. And a lot of people get the virus and have absolutely no symptoms of it.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm at work 6 days a week right now. 6 days a week, we average 100 transactions a day. I probably am half of those just because of the time of day that I'm there.
Hmm.
So if you figure 50 transactions a day times 6 days a week, that's 300 transactions a week. That's it's 1,200 a month, and we've been doing this for 3 months. It's been here since January, and we're almost in May, so that's technically 5 months. You're telling me that I never came in contact with it? I'm not saying, oh, I beat it, I got some secret, but there's no way that I didn't come in contact with it. When there's 900, I always use Walmart because it's always a madhouse in there. You're not going to tell me that somebody in there didn't have it and,
Exactly.
touch 50 different things. And, while I think some stores do a very good job, like my Walmart, not the cleanest. I very rarely ever see people cleaning anything in there. They're always pulling stuff for, online sales, but you never see anybody wiping anything down. And, I think more of us have come in contact with it. And I wish that the antibody test was a little cheaper and more available because I think, when you have, I think, what are we at, like 3,500 or something like that deaths in PA, which is obviously it's a terrible amount, 3,500, but we're basing that on the confirmed cases. If you go 3,500 based on 200,000 people getting it or 400,000 people that have been asymptomatic, it drops the death rate way down. So,
yeah, I have, I brought it up. It was Jeff Haste is a chairman of Dauphin County Commission. Did you see any of that?
I did not.
He wrote, I'm just going to kind of quick summarize from it. It was, whenever he wrote this, 48% of our 141 ventilators are in use. 6, which is 4%, are in use for COVID-19 related cases. 62, which is 44%, are non-COVID-19 cases, and 73, which is 52%, are not in use. So the majority of the ventilators that we have aren't even in use.
And a thing I think that spins it a little bit, again, it sounds like I'm just like a conspiracy person, but I remember seeing people, oh my God, they brought a refrigerated truck in for New York City just for bodies. Mm-hmm. That happens every summer. Every single summer that happens because there's so many people in a small area that they're overrun anyhow. So they're making it sound like this is the only time it's ever happened. It happens every year.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be scared. I'm not saying people shouldn't, I'm not saying that there's not 40 people that are going to see this and go, well, my cousin had it or my aunt had it, and I'm very sorry. I don't want it to sound like I don't care. But I can tell you from my point of view, if it comes down, like I don't have kids, but I have people that are basically like my kids. If you had to ask me, do you want your kids to prosper or do you want to fight this and deal with it? I'm going to deal with it anytime because, as much as I'm kind of full of myself at times and a little egotistical, they're the future. Yeah. I'm expendable, and I believe that. So I'm also a big believer in my time's my time. So, I'm not saying that we shouldn't just act like tomorrow nothing happened, but you're going to end up having that because you're seeing a lot of police stations now that are saying we're not going to enforce this.
Exactly.
And what you're getting away from is you're getting away from that slope of getting back to normal, and you're pissing everybody off until it's just going to be, stringent, and then they're going to say, fuck this, we're not doing it anymore. And they're going to just take the masks off. They're going to do all that shit. And, like Amazon, that's all online. So that's not going to get affected as much. But eventually, places like Walmart, places like Lowe's, if people go, I'm not wearing this shit, and they say, well, you can't come in here, they're only going to say you can't come in here. Let's not pretend that they're all humanitarians.
Mm-hmm.
They're there for money. Amazon always it makes me laugh. They posted like $75 billion in first quarter sales this year. 75 billion with a B.
Yeah.
And they have the balls on their app when you go to check out to ask you to donate to the COVID.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying those people don't deserve the money. I'm saying, why are you asking me when you're posting $75 billion in sales?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
But
I mean, that it's this whole thing is bizarre. It's really bizarre to me. And I think I think they did it right in the beginning, but now it's starting to get to the political point where you're pissing a lot of people off. And I mean, shit.
Where you're not just pissing them off, you're killing the livelihoods of a lot of people.
Yes, exactly. And it was the east part of, or whatever, the top part of Pennsylvania. Now they're in the yellow, I guess. So they're starting to open up. I live in Perry County. Okay, we have less cases here than a lot of those counties up north, even, and we're still grouped in with
I swear to God, it seems like it just depends on how the person who decides it feels that day, because there's like a whole bunch because originally it was supposed to be 50 cases per 100,000 over a 2-week period. And then you have counties that have, 100 cases since the beginning of this months ago, and they didn't get released. Now, are they sparsely populated? Probably, but you can't hold the entire time for some counties and 14 days for these counties.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I think is totally wrong with the way we did it in this state, especially. I think it's Pottstown or Allentown. There's a fairly decent sized town where they said at first car sales were not considered essential. And when they offered waivers, everybody applied for them. 2 dealerships that were within 600 yards of each other, one got it and the other one didn't. How do you make that distinction? Because at that point, you're picking who stays in business.
Yeah, exactly. It's who they know. It's probably what it was.
And that's where this is totally bullshit.
Yeah. But. Well, that's like you said earlier. Up in Perry County, I just read now that the sheriffs, whatever the hell type of police they are, they're going off the Constitution. They're not going to abide with.
Cumberland County just said that.
But where I'm at is primarily state police, though. So what?
And that's the thing. Like I live in Carlisle. Not that I'm not going to be that guy that just goes and opens, because I think that sets a bad example for discipline and stuff like that. But I'm only doing that because I have another way to make money right now. Like, I have another job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow him at all, but Tom DeBlass, probably one of the greatest American Jiu-Jitsu guys ever. ADCC champion, UFC, Bellator, ROC 2-division champion, awesome guy. And he was the first one telling all the gyms, close down. This is, he was telling everybody, we got to do our part. And he made it super simple. He's like, listen, we had this small business thing, and a lot of guys got zero out of that. And he's like, if the government didn't give you anything, didn't give you any relief, didn't give you anything, this is how you feed your family. And they put you in this position. It's one thing if you're just a shitty business owner and you couldn't run your business. He's like, I don't see why you should be closing. If they can't give you the relief you need, they can't tell you to stay closed. And he actually just opened his spot up. His place is insanely big. Like, it's like 7,600 square feet or something like that.
Where's that at?
Ocean County, New Jersey, which New Jersey's obviously hit a little bit harder than us. But you know, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I don't disagree with him as far as if, you have kids. I don't, I have a dog, but you have kids. And, I don't know what your situation is. I hope it's not coming to that at all. But if it came between you going and open up your small business as to whether your kids got to eat or not, I'm pretty sure you would be opening that business and doing what you got to do.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I do massage therapy at the Hotel Hershey. I don't have a job right now, but it doesn't really affect me because I just had a baby and I plan to cut my hours down a lot. And I'm pretty much going to be a stay-at-home dad. So it hasn't really affected me. My wife is a nurse. Okay. And I mean, she's the breadwinner. No doubt about that. But, I mean, if anybody's going to get it, it's going to be her. Shit. She's a nurse. So, I mean, I'm taking all the precautions. No doubt about it. I think the only place I've ever been is to pick up food at a restaurant. And I've not been to a grocery store. I've not been to Walmart. Uh, she's the one that goes out and does all that because she's at work anyway. So
yeah, I mean, and the thing is like we were talking about, these people that just go there to chill out and do whatever. That's one thing, and there's definitely people who do that. But like, I live in an apartment. My refrigerator's not very big. I can't go and just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy 20 pounds of chicken, all this, all that, and stuff it in the freezer because I don't have the space for it. So like, and not that I'm like, I'm not complaining like I'm super poor or anything, but you know, I don't have the money to just go drop $300 or $400 on groceries.
yeah.
So I got to split it up. I got to go a couple times, in between paychecks right now. So, it's tough for everybody, but you know,
Well, this is where we're buying bulk. Okay. And what do you think we're buying? The stuff that lasts long and the stuff that makes you feel good. So we're getting a shit ton of Doritos, Cheetos,
yeah.
shit. We're eating shit. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm fucking I gotta be 215 by now.
Oh, I joke around and say COVID-19. That's the amount of weight I've put on since we stopped this.
I mean, geez, I, I still try to work out, but man, my motivation is crap. I eat like crap. Every week I try to get back on schedule, and I'm Wednesday or no Monday is when I'm trying to start again. We'll see if that happens.
And I tell you, the weird thing is because, I have a key to my gym. I could technically go there and work out. I went in there, it was like 2 weeks ago because I had to make sure, I always stop in, make sure there's not a leak. You don't want to come back from all this and have waterlogged mats or something like that.
So you don't want your shit ruined.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, I went in there, got all dressed up, cleaned everything up. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit the bag for a couple rounds. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like super sad and sappy, but not having the team in there just kind of kills the vibe some. And you know, I'm not saying that I don't miss my gym, but I miss my guys. I miss the brotherhood of that. And I've said this a million times. You never know like true brotherhood until you beat the piss out of each other, and the second that bell rings, you're best buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Daryl, we figured it up one time. We just, round about it. Me and Daryl have done like 3,000 rounds of sparring over the time that we've known each other. And you've been around both of us the way we spar when we spar each other. Those aren't easy rounds.
Yeah. You guys both hit hard as shit. I mean,
and it always turns into like 50%. I think he went 70. I think he went 90. And we're just going to fight. And it's like, to a lot of people, that sounds insane, and it sounds like the worst thing in the world. Dude, I miss that shit so bad. It's crazy.
I'm getting. I never realized that I had anger issues until I can't hit mitts. I can't. I mean, I have a heavy bag, but it's not the same. It's not the same. I need that.
There's a reason that there's not just one video that everybody watches and learns how to fight. You have to have a coach, and you got to be pushed. And part of the fun for me of coaching is finding what people are doing wrong, or not necessarily wrong, but they're not getting it all the way, and adapting and this guy might not have the same hand speed, or this guy might not have the flexibility. And it's like, I have I have that big Fairtex. It's like 300-pound bag there. I can just go beat the piss out of that, no problem. But it's almost sad. It's like, it's like when you have a family and then go into your home when your family's not there, and not being able to spend time with them. It's just a sad thing all the way around. But
exactly. I mean, the only thing I'm really doing is I might do 3 rounds on the double M bag, and that's still kind of half-assed. But I was training for Golden Gloves. I was going to do Golden Gloves. I was gonna do 178, but I mean, I was like I was probably 205 when I was going to do it. And it was coming up so quick. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do 201, bulk up a little bit, put some muscle on and do that. And here I signed up for everything. And there was no one in the whole state in my division that was doing 201, which blows my mind. I mean, America's full of fat fucks. How is there no one else doing 201 for Golden Gloves, man? It blew my mind. But since that's not happening now, I have no motivation to
I don't know if you're like this, but I'm one of those people. I train the best when I have an end goal. Like if I have a fight lined up, the days where I'm like, oh, I should go run for 2 miles. If I don't have nothing lined up, I'm terrible with that.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's terrible. And you know what? It brings us back to this card. It's the first sporting event since all this shutdown. He's taken a lot of heat for that. A lot of people don't like Dana White. Fucking, he will always be. I always have respect for him because he's going above and beyond to make sure we got something to do. Yeah. And when a lot of people aren't, so.
I look at it more as, hey man, this is good. This is good for me because it gives me something to look forward to. I'm gonna watch it with my wife anyway. It's something fun. Finally, a sport that is actually I'm looking forward to. And I mean, if they take the right health precautions and everything, which I imagine that they're doing, and I mean, they're all working people, and they're not making, unless you're like the top 4 fights, you're not making a lot of money doing this. And those people, their jobs, Well,
I mean, you have to look at it this way. It's 14. I think it's 14 fights for this weekend. Those are probably 28 of the most healthy people on the planet.
Exactly.
And if they say they want to do it, I will support them 100%.
Yeah. So, hell yeah, man. It's America, man.
America. All right, buddy. I'm going to get going. I actually have somebody waiting. My buddy Mike's down at the door. He's been there for like 40 minutes.
Oh, shit. So, hey, man, thanks for doing this, man.
I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll do it again the next card.
Absolutely, man. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Take it easy. You guys be safe.
Yep. See ya.